All right, Ben, week 8. Welcome back.
Yeah, glad to be back. Now, it feels like right now, Bitcoin could crash at any moment. I mean, it's hovering around 18.9. So in our portfolio, we're really looking for Bitcoin to hit low 18s, 17s, maybe below, before we make any big changes to the portfolio. So just to briefly catch you guys up, we will throw all of our different portfolios on the screen here, and you guys can see the action for each one since the last time we looked. A couple things I wanted to point out. AJ, I think last week, did a great job talking about Algorand, and he did a portfolio of all Algorand, and it's absolutely crushed it. He has killed it with that portfolio. We also have our ISO 20022 portfolio, which now is also doing well. Why? Because XRP's been pumping through the moon, right? We love XRP, of course. And I also want to talk about last week on Sunday, talked about how I've now started dollar cost averaging in. I'm not ready to show those numbers yet, and the reason is because on that video, I talked about how it's going to be doing $200 a day. Well, I'm using Crypto.com to do it, and Crypto.com will only allow you $5,000 a month in dollar cost averaging, basically. So what I've done is I've done $100 a day in Ethereum, and I'm trying to do $50 a day in Cardano, but for some reason, when it runs those two transactions back to back, the Cardano one's not going through. So I got to get all that sorted out on the back end before we start talking about the dollar cost averaging. But today, what I really want to talk about, FTT and Solana, right? So we have this in our $25,000 portfolio. Now, you guys know we've said FTT, one of the biggest coins of the year, I think, or one of the biggest coins of the next bull run, is going to do absolutely phenomenal. And the truth is, from a price perspective, it is going to do that. I do believe Solana, of course, it really outperformed in the last bull run. We scooped it up in the $25,000 portfolio because it had dropped a pretty good bit the day that we got it. But when it comes to Solana, it's going to be really hard for it to match its previous bull run performance, if you will. I want to talk about something with you guys, okay? Because we're not making big changes to the portfolio. We're going to be removing those two coins. I'll tell you at the end of the video what we're going to be replacing them with. Two coins that I've been wanting to add to this portfolio for a while. I think this is a good opportunity to do it. So we have this right here, D.Y.O.R. A lot of you guys know what this means. If you don't, it's do your own research. Now, this doesn't mean, as I've been famously quoted as saying, watch 3 YouTubers and make a decision. No, do your own research is not just about what you're doing on the back end, where you're gathering information, you're watching videos, you're trying to figure stuff out. You also have to have like an implementation side of this. So you have to implement your research. You have to have a plan, right? Like you have to take your research and you have to implement it into a plan that works for you. Now, there are many different ways to decide what you're going to invest in. I'm going to give you guys a sample here of what I think a good rubric, if you will, for investing. Of course, I can't give you financial advice. I can only tell you what I'm doing. And these are kind of some of the 5 major categories that I look at when I'm trying to create a coin. So let's just say coin X. This is not a real coin. You're going to want to figure out how to score these coins. Number 1, I like looking at use case, right? So let's say we take these and each of these is going to get a 1 to 5 score. Use case is very important. What does the coin do? So if this was Dogecoin, this would be 0, does nothing. Shiba, a 0. SafeMoon, a 0, right? Where you look at Ethereum, pays the gas fees for Ethereum, use case there is very strong, probably be a 5, right? So you got to figure out what it's going to be for use case. Then you got to figure out community. Community is also extremely big. Like how is a community? Okay, so if this is Cardano or XRP, it's getting a 5. If it's Solana, probably like a 3.5 maybe. If this was Dogecoin would score pretty high on this, to be honest with you. It's got a pretty strong community. So you got to figure out where it scores within the community. Next, you're going to look at team. Okay, you're going to say, where are these people from? Are these people from Google? Are they from Amazon? Is this a 17-year-old kid that just started this project in his basement? Is this a guy like Do Kwon who had like a lot of failures before Terra finally hit and then failed again? You have to know those things as well. Then you're going to look at the tokenomics. Okay, tokenomics, this covers everything from market price to coin distribution to the budget of the coin itself, how much they have allocated to marketing, the price. What is the price? Well, Shiba's 0.00001, so it's going to be huge, right? No, because the supply is so big. You have to understand the relationship between the supply and the price. That's what matters. So tokenomics is very important to take into consideration. And then last, I'm going to go philosophy. Okay, so this is really what I want to focus on today while we're going to talk about why we're going to get rid of Solana and FTT, right? So let's just say right here, it doesn't matter which one it is. We're just going to put FTT here. Use case. Well, it's pretty strong. I don't know if they use it for the fees on FTT or not, but I think probably about a 4. Community, FTT doesn't really have a community that's big. The people that use it probably give it a 2. Team, I mean, obviously you got to give it a 5 because it's got, Sam Bankman-Fried, Brett Harrison, a lot of guys that are really popular in crypto. It's really strong in that regard. Tokenomics. Tokenomics of FTT, I'll be honest with you, I'm just using an example. I don't even really know what the tokenomics of FTT are specifically enough. If this were Solana, you'd have to go very low on the tokenomics. Probably a 2 because of the way it was distributed. Almost all these coins are owned by VCs and institutions. Very little of these coins are owned by retail, and that's not a good thing. You don't want that. Could be good for the price, but also could be bad for the price because they're in control of it. So tokenomics here, I don't know if FTT, I'd have to do a little more research. Philosophy. Okay, this cannot be, in general, the deciding factor, right? So what I mean by this is if this is a 5, this is a 5, this is a 5, this is a 5, it's going to be really hard to come out and go on philosophy and decide like, hey, I don't want to get out of this coin. However, if you look at any of these and you say it's a 0, it's a 0. Their philosophy is a 0. It's going to be hard to put money into that coin. Now, for me as a person who's in crypto that has a voice, obviously, people look up to what I do on this channel. It's why you guys watch these portfolio videos. People want to know what I'm doing. Well, I'm in a different position than you are as a retail trader. Okay, now I'm also a retail trader, but I'm in a different position. If you decide that FTT and Solana are doing horrible things, which they are, I'm going to talk about in just a second, you can still ride it. You can still say, well, the price is going to go up because the price on this coin is going to go up. I'm here to tell you. For me personally, I've got to make stands on stuff. The people behind FTT and Solana, Sam Bankman-Fried, Brett Harrison, other people that are behind that, working with Senator Chuck Schumer. You guys know Chuck Schumer. He absolutely put Ross Ulbricht away for 2 life sentences. He was the main person pushing that from Silk Road. Also responsible for the BIT license in New York City, which is considered to be the worst piece of crypto regulation in history. What FTT, Solana, and Chuck Schumer are trying to do is so bad for crypto, and I can't tell you what it is right now. It could basically end decentralization. I know that sounds insane, but that's the goal. That's what they want. They want to make it illegal for you to do any transaction that's peer-to-peer or done on a decentralized platform. That's not one that they've already swallowed up whole and got themselves. It's so bad that for me as a person, even though I believe Solana and FTT are going to go up in price over this next bull run, for me personally, I gotta say I'm out. I'm out. This 0 to me, the thing that they're doing is so bad. I give them a 0 on philosophy. I can't with a good conscience sit up here and tell you that you should put money in these coins. Evil. Death of crypto. That's what they want. So bad. But when people find out about it, Sam Bankman-Fried's going to have nowhere to hide. That's how bad this is. So from that perspective, that's why even though, like people say, oh, well, we hate banks with XRP. Well, let's swim with the whales. I don't give Ripple a 0 on philosophy, okay? You look at VeChain, for instance. We made a philosophical stand on VeChain because it's basically a Chinese project. And we think geopolitically with China, there's just stuff going on between the United States and them. I don't want to support it. But it's important to understand that the philosophy of VeChain, it was only a factor in our decision, right? All this stuff was good, but we were looking at other projects that also had those same good numbers. And then we took this one category and used this category as kind of the thing that was going to push it over the edge or not. If something's a 0, like what FTX and Solana are doing, for me as a person, I've got to make a stand here. I got to say I'm out. So that's why in our $25,000 portfolio, we are going to be getting rid of Solana, getting rid of FTT, even though we think that it's going to go up in price. And I do want to remind you guys as I'm erasing this stuff up here, this doesn't have to be your deciding points. This doesn't have to be how you score things. That's generally how I score things. I score things based on those 5 categories. Those are really the 5 categories I'd go by. There might be something else for you. Like maybe you're a developer and you understand the code and the technology to you is so superior. I just gotta go off other people's opinions on the technology because I'm not a coder. I'm not a developer. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be crossing out FTT and Solana. These are going to be going out of the portfolios, and we are going to be ushering in Algo and H-Bar in these portfolios. So we're going to be subbing out those for those. These coins are dead to me. Sam Bankman-Fried, you're dead to me. Brett Harrison, you are dead to me. FTX, you are dead to me. You are despicable, and I'm disgusted by you in every way, shape, or form, and everybody's going to be on that track, and I'm going to make sure. All right, guys, that's all we got for our portfolio video today. Like I said, with the Bitcoin price action, hasn't been a lot to make decisions based on price right now. We're still waiting for that drop. We're trying to be patient. $25,000 portfolio, we got 40% of it allocated. We want to keep 60% ready in stable coins. So when we do get that drop, we can make the moves we're waiting on moving. That's all I got. Be blessed. Bye-bye.